Okay, today we continue to work through the limits playlist, and we're looking now at limits as x approaches 0. In particular, we have this example on the board. So to get started with this, what I want to do first to get a sense of this is let's just plug in 0 and see what's happening. So if I do that, we have a bunch of terms that are just going to be 0. So a whole bunch of things are going away. And all we're really left with is this stuff at the end. So we're going to be left with minus 4 over minus 6. I'll just reduce this and we get 2/3. So nothing too complicated there, no indeterminate form, not much to worry about. Okay, now for my second example, it's a little bit different, but we'll still take the same approach. Let's plug in 0 and see what happens. So in the numerator, everything's going to be 0 here. So we're just going to have 0 in the numerator. We plug 0 into the denominator. This is going away, this is going away. We're left with minus 7. But 0 over minus 7, this is just going to give me a 0. And still, that one's pretty straightforward. Okay, now for our third example, again, we're going to just plug in 0 and see what happens when we do this. So first, plugging into the numerator, these terms are going away to 0. So we get 0 in the numerator. And then we do the same thing in the denominator. We get a 0, a 0, a 0. So we end up with a 0 in the denominator. So now we finally have our indeterminate form. Things are a little more complicated than what we had right here. So let me just erase this and look into factoring this thing. Okay, now when we looked at limits at infinity, we ended up factoring out the largest power in the denominator. Something similar here, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to factor out the least power in the denominator. So I'll factor out an x here, and so we'll write this as x times 3x squared plus x plus 1. And then this is going to be over, we'll factor out an x here too, so we'll get some cancellation. And this is going to give me 3x cubed minus x. And now at this point, our x's are going to cancel. Now we'll plug in our 0 again. This is going to 0, this is going to 0. So we still have 0 in the numerator. We come down here to the denominator, this is going to be 0, 0 plus 1, and we get a 1 there. So now we've got 0 over 1, and so the limit here is just going to be 0. Okay, last problem here. So again, we plug in 0 to the numerator, and we're going to have 0. We plug in 0 here to the denominator, we also have 0. So we've got an indeterminate form. What I'm going to do, just recognize we have an x here. I'll factor an x out of the numerator and denominator. So let's see what we get. This denominator is going to be x over x squared plus x plus 3. And then the numerator, we have our x that we're going to pull out, and we're going to have x to the 4th minus 3x plus 5. Now again, the x's are going to cancel. I'll plug in my 0. This stuff here is going away. We're just going to have a 5 in the numerator. We plug in the zeros here. These go away. And we just have 3 in the denominator. So for this last one, our solution is just going to be 5/3. Okay, more limits to come in the next video. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.